Good day, buenos días, mis hermanos, my brat. What was it in Serbian? Dobar dan, good afternoon. Dobro večer, good evening. Dobro jutro, good morning. So, Jeff Bezos just called. I've just got off the phone to the man, the big man at Amazon, the big bald eagle on TRT. And he said, mate, I'm struggling. I got divorced from my wife. She took me for a billy or two. And now I'm getting out there. And, I know I might be the richest man in the world. I know I might be on TRT, jacked out of my mind. I might have celebrity friends and a jet. But to tell you the truth, when I go over to the girls, the hot, sexy mammies, I still get nervous. My heart palpitates. My palms sweat. My pupils dilate. And I just feel I feel a sense of tension in my muscles and a deep paralyzing fear, like I'm a deer in the headlights, or I'm a deer in the headlights plus with a sniper rifle targeted on me, right? Deep paralyzing fear in the prone position, in the fetal position on the floor. That's how I feel inside. I said to him, Jeff, I understand, my brother. And your case is a very good illustration. Doesn't matter how famous or rich you are, we're all flesh and bone. We're all blood and bone, blood and bronze. I said, Jeff, my friend, we need to sort this out. So I'm going to get on a YouTube live right now and I'm going to tell you exactly how to deal with your so-called approach anxiety, AA, as they call it, the new AA, approach anxiety. So for anyone new to my channel, I'm Joseph. I am the Wing Bro, aka Wing Bro. On this channel, we discuss relationships and cold approach, sometimes other things as well. And to give you a brief insight into my background, why I decided to make content on this particular theme. So, first of all, obviously I'm a guy who likes women, so I go after women, and my preferred method is face-to-face contact, face-to-face meetings. I was a club promoter for 4 years in the UK. I had the largest Latin music night, I think, in the UK, certainly in the north of the UK, for 4 years. And when you're in that club scene, of course, you see everything on a completely crazy level because you have your own situation, romantically and sexually. But you also see everyone else's all kicking off all around you all the time, every week. And even outside of that, I did a 8-10 year stint of really partying a lot. And I would say 50% of my motivation, straight on 50%, was to meet hot girls. Yeah, so there we go. And I had quite a bit of success doing it. And I really did go from someone who didn't have success to someone who did. And I didn't change. Nothing about me changed. All that changed was I got around guys who I could see were already ahead of me, and then started basically to copy them. Consumed some content from the internet, applied it. Now most of it didn't work, but a small amount did. And then I went from a kind of bit of a nerd, really, sporty nerd, to a guy who became almost a little bit known as a bit of a playboy. Which still to this day, I don't fundamentally see myself. I'm 40, I'm only just starting to see myself in that way, but I never really saw myself in that way. And so there's a bit of self-aggrandizing there, but I do have a lot of experience, that I can say. I'm also a coach as well, so I coach other guys who are struggling in their personal lives, guys who feel like truly they are attractive guys with a lot to offer, and they just can't seem to bridge the gap between what they know they are inside and what they're getting. They feel they're underperforming in their personal lives. And I'm able to help them to bridge that gap to actually, just with some technique, some mindset stuff, and also crucially, basically having me as a wing through, and it's a process called an immersion. I'm able to completely revolutionize their skills and their personal life to a point they become what I would describe as independently wealthy men in the realm of dating and approach. That's really what many guys are after. And what I mean by that, when you're independently wealthy, it means it doesn't matter what is going on around you. You can always go out and get the girl. You can always go out, any city, any place, you can always go out and pick up some attractive women, pick up some numbers and get something going on. And from there, if you do decide to have a relationship, you are truly choosing that girl. You're saying, you know what, I really like you. You're absolutely fantastic, and I want to spend more time with you, as opposed to just kind of meeting the girl through work or, drunk or something, just through some social thing, and maybe she really isn't the one you want. Maybe you do still have that fantasy of going over to the girl you saw in the mall with this incredible arse, amazing tits, long legs, and you still see girls like that now and then, and you think, I'd like to try one. I would like to go after a girl like that. Is it possible for a guy like me? And what guys who work with me very often find is honestly, it's the hottest girls that love cold approach the most. It's the hottest girls that love to be approached the most. But yeah, that's my introduction there. So, dating coach, professional wingman, and I'm also an internationally minded guy as well. So I'm a nomad, so I travel on a pretty constant basis. I've lived in 4 countries this year: Macedonia, Serbia, UK, and the Dominican Republic. And I've lived in 12 countries in total. And that's quite a lot, actually, to live as well, not just travel, to actually live in 12 different countries, including France, Spain, Portugal, Italy, Dominican Republic, Brazil, a few other devious Eastern European ones as well: Romania, Serbia, Bosnia, Macedonia, as I said, so a few others as well. So that's my experience. I've done this all over the world. I have actually done cold approach sessions in Istanbul, under the nose of the fearsome Turkish military, believe it or not. I've approached in front of armoured vehicles. I don't know if I would recommend that, it's a bit nerve-wracking. I've approached out in Bosnia in coldest, deepest November, and I think that was the time after doing that and getting at least some success doing that, that's when I realised, okay, I now need to start coaching guys. I need to start putting myself out there as a coach. Trust me, if you can do it on a freezing Saturday afternoon in Sarajevo in November, you can definitely do cold approach, solo as well. So there we go, that's enough self-aggrandizement, but I do think it's important that people who are talking about things online, I do think it is important to give what your credentials are, why you're talking about what you're talking about. Do you actually know what you're talking about? Because I see it in the spaces I'm interested in, 1 or 2 spaces. Some people obviously have got no fucking clue what they're talking about. Other people, they really do. And so, yeah, I think it's important to give what experience you have and why you're talking about this. So we're going to talk today, after my conversation with Mr. Bezos, about approach anxiety. Approach anxiety. What is it? Why do guys get it? And how can we move past it? Because it's one of the most frustrating things in the world, actually. Because I think a lot of guys feel, man, if I just didn't feel anxious, I think I could probably pull these girls. If I just felt relaxed. And the thing is, that's probably true as well. That's probably true. In many cases, you look at guys who get some really hot girls. A lot people, we've moved into this such a weird looks maxing phase. Of course, looks are always going to be a factor, right? Of course, like to a point, they're going to be a factor. But we've got a whole generation And it's all led by kids who are inexperienced with women, many of them actual virgins. And also men without charisma as well, fundamentally. So if you lack charisma, probably the only thing you do have is looks, right? You lack a male presence. So we've gone in this direction, and there's all the money guys as well. You need to have a fucking Bugatti. Not really, to be honest, not really. I talked about this the other day. There is a certain small bracket of girls where money, it just is a thing. But that's actually quite a small bracket. I'd say it's honestly about 5% if I were to guess, 5-10%. Dominican probably about 15%, but it's still not the majority. So yeah, the real gold is in the charismatic man who goes over. And if you can get yourself to a point where you feel relaxed doing it, so much the better. I do think a lot of guys intuitively know this, that you must have seen guys in school, in uni, who were not good looking, who just backed themselves, who were just relaxed, or maybe even they just were drunk a lot, and they pull some real smoke shows, yeah? They get the real hot girl, yeah? A lot of these prim, proper, sexy girls, a lot of them are just dying to be taken out, because they often feel very repressed themselves. Like, oh God, I always have to be Mrs. fucking Perfect. And often they will gravitate to the wildest guy who is just like, can just drag them and take them out of their bullshit. So, yeah, I'm sure anyone on this channel, if you've got any life experience at all, you've seen people like that. You must have seen people like that. This island is utterly full of them. I call them plastic bag Romeos. It's the guys even in the supermarket who pack your shopping. Even they're just totally relaxed. They mac for fun all day long. That's all they do. So that's the intro here. So let's just talk about anxiety and stress. Oh, we've got Jay here. Guys all over YouTube thinking, yeah, everything falls into place. So Jay is a perfect example. Just before I start to talk about approach and stress and fear, it's fundamentally fear. Jay is a perfect example. I worked with Jay in Belgrade this summer, and it's a guy who literally is a total package on paper and in real life as well, right? Great job, great, like ridiculous physique, well dressed, personable, got all of the qualities that all of the guys, that like, everyone would say on the sort of top trumps card, oh, this is a completely stacked card, yeah? But at the same time, still found himself like, what are my angles here, If you're in your 30s, the apps can discriminate against you, they will tend to. If you're under 6 foot, they'll tend to discriminate against you. And so, a lot of guys scratch their heads, right? And Jay was one of those guys. We spoke, and he wanted to come out and do an immersion. Also wanted to, maybe do some travel at the same time. So we decided to meet in Belgrade. And really, just from learning the skills of the approach, just learning some of the fundamentals of the mindset, but also there is some technical stuff in there. There's 7 or 8 technical points you want to be aware of, and if you're not, your approach is probably not going to go too well. And a little bit of stuff on the back end as well. But he completely transforms his outlook within a couple of days to realizing, oh wow, really all I need to do is go over, and now I know if my approach is, he's able to self-assess. If his approach is good, he'll probably know why, and if his approach isn't so good, he'll probably know why as well. But just in a couple of days, even a day, you can completely transform your outlook. And he was the same guy before he started the immersion as he was afterwards. And if he'd gone out to Belgrade solo, I pretty much guarantee he would have struggled. I pretty much guarantee. Because the lack of knowledge about what to do specifically in a cold approach can just cause too much uncertainty for guys. So yeah, actually investing in training, just like getting it completely sorted out. But he just had like the weekend, just like a cracking weekend this summer. basically just number closing girls left, right, and centre. And even now, they're still, they're still messaging him, hoping to have a date with him several months later on from a different country. So this is how fast your life can change around when you start to, when you learn this skill, okay? When you learn the skill of daytime approach. And I think also crucially having a good wing alongside you as well. That's really important. But he was the same guy before as he was afterwards. The difference was skill and then just having a wingman comrade alongside him, right? It's actually incredible. I wonder how many guys there are out there similar to Jay, who's, everything on paper. Because I think I was that guy, to be honest. This is why it was what makes me think, and I see other guys like that who were kind of settling for. I remember there was one guy. He was everything on paper, just in case he ever comes across this, I don't really want to go on to. But he was high level professional. He had even a profile which would be like really like his background even before his profession was really interesting. Good looking, in shape. I remember this guy. He was going out with in his late 20s, going out with like a 40-year-old woman. I think he's still with. And to me, that just speaks to really, that's a lack of options. Sorry, it's a lack of options. It's a lack of options, and it's a lack of knowledge. It's a lack of knowledge. That's actually, that guy he wouldn't come and work with me, but he's a prime example of someone who should. Because you're casting your lot in with, someone who is just way below his standard. So I think really this is what people want, is they just want the options that are of the kind of standard that they actually really gets them going. They're excited to meet. So let's get into the fear thing. Let's have a look here. Yeah, awesome weekend experience training. The wing is crucial. Yeah, I think you said it as well, Jay. If you'd gone out there solo, even if you'd gone out, you'd watched some of my videos, you'd watched maybe some of my other fellow coaches' videos, and you've gone out and tried to apply it, I just think it's really it's kind of secret knowledge. It's tricky to figure out on your own, and probably, most likely, you won't even go in solo. It's just the brutal truth. Like, to even do one approach solo, is actually pretty good going. If you've had no training at all, it's pretty good going. Yeah, I remember you saying, you probably come out, you basically had a few beers, maybe chat to a barmaid or two, but that would have been it. You wouldn't have been just rampaging the streets, just closing girls left, right, and centre, getting dates, getting these amazing connections with women who, they're all there for the taking. You just, and you only need one. Ultimately, you only need one. The odds are in our favour, boys. You only need one, yeah? And if you've got two, it will always come down to two. If you've got two, but you're seeing both of them, and you like both of them, then there you go, you're oversubscribed. You're in the land of abundance if you've just got two great options that you're seeing. And if you got more than that, if you got 10 options, well, then we're just taking a piss, aren't we, really? But get as many options as you need to, but it's always going to come down to one or two. So the odds are definitely in our favour, but we do need to know what we're actually doing. And I think fear is the number one thing that I need to address before we even get into any of the other stuff as well. Because it's fear that stops guys even going in to begin with. So let's say you don't have any approach knowledge, you're a complete fucking noob. Even if you've watched 100 videos, you're still a noob. You still don't know what you're doing. You don't even know, the guys who you're watching, you don't even know how to assess them, really. There's some quite big coaches out there who built brands in the 2000s. I promise you, are not very good at daytime approach. And I could break down their approach and I could show you several, in some cases, they're almost doing everything wrong, making their life a lot harder. Because they've got a name from a big American brand that was doing it, they get some kudos, but there is actually a set criteria for a decent approach. If you want to be consistent, and you also want to get students results. But yeah, we all start off in that place of fear. We all start off in that place of fear, and it's a very different type of fear to most fears that you experience. Like I've done a lot of challenging things, you know, been to really demanding interviews, been in exams, been in high-level sports matches where you know, in professional football when I was younger, where it's like we're playing actually for contracts. It's like, it's high pressure. It's not that fun actually. Surprisingly, it's not as fun as you might think it is. So I've done a lot of like high pressure things in the past, and there's something about going out into the street and just macking on girls that it puts you into this weird state of like primal fear. And I think it's the exact opposite of what you want, right? You want to be feeling primal confidence. So let's just dissect why guys are afraid. So you can see the barrio here. I'll show you boys. But why are guys afraid? There's a cheesy thing from self-development. I'm gonna have to go down this road here. There's a cheesy thing from self-development. False evidence appearing as real. Fear. False evidence appearing as real. And I do think in this case there is something to it. We've tried to break down why is it that guys feel so much fear. And I think it's a number of things. One of them is people have a natural fear of rejection. You know, you feel that you're putting yourself on the line by going over to a girl. You obviously don't want to be rejected, right? You are looking, if you feel attracted to her, you are looking. In a sense, most guys are, when they start out, they are looking for the girl's approval. Like, oh, I like this guy. You know, it's a sense of approval. And I think this is quite normal. No one goes over to a girl hoping to be rejected. And there's also a sense that it's a prize to be won, but it's also a prize to be lost as well. I think that's a big thing as well. Sometimes the hotter the girl, the more you feel you've got to lose. You know, you don't feel nervous going over to the 90-year-old grandma, or the 3 out of 10. You don't feel any nerves because you just don't give a shit. But with the hotter girl, you feel that there's something to lose, right? As well. So I think that also causes a sense of fear as well, the hotter the girl is. But again, I'll break down all of these in a moment. Other things as well. Another thing which definitely causes fear is being alone. Is being alone doing this. That definitely increases the level of fear. So I know myself, like if I can go and do solo approach in an unfamiliar territory, one where I even feel potential hostility, if I can do it there, then when I go back into my home turf and I've got friends around me, I'll be 5x more arrogant. I'll just honestly feel like fucking Cyclops out there, just like lasering in on people. Right, let's go. You know, because when you're solo, again, I think it's something quite primal, a sense that maybe just physically you don't have the backup. We are primates, right? If you can imagine how you would feel doing cold approach, like just in a place where there was only women, it's just like only hot women, versus approaching one hot woman who is surrounded by like I don't know, like 300 Turkish guys or something, menacing Turkish guys. You'd feel quite different in those two scenarios. So yeah, being solo, I think also it plays a massive role in it. And unfortunately, most guys don't have wings who can actually assist them with daytime approach. It's quite easy to get wings with nighttime approach. That is quite easy. Daytime approach is so unusual that it's hard to find those wings. That's something I'm going to be setting up as well next year. It's like a little network of wingmen. So that would be definitely another reason that guys feel a sense of fear. It can also be other things as well. It can sometimes, it can also be deeper things as well. So for example, you know, guys can, I don't want to psychoanalyze too much, but sometimes guys have had some issues in the past. They're just generally lacking in self-confidence. But all of that can be overcome. can all be overcome. Sometimes guys have had bad experiences as well. You know, I never really had anything like this, but I've heard stories of guys who had really bad experiences where they were actually shamed in school for, they liked a girl, they went to speak to her and stuff, and they got shamed, they got humiliated, you know. Yeah, I think English in American schools, there's a lot more bullying in a lot of these schools. It's a side point, but you know, there is no bullying in Dominican schools. I remember being told about that. Like, they don't have the concept of bullying. It's not a thing that kids do to each other. They might have a fight or something, but it's mostly just laughter. You know, tropical people just enjoying their young life. The main girl I'm seeing here, she said, like, in school, all the girls just wanted to be the cleverest. That was all they wanted to be. You know, this island's got a bad rep because history, but the people are very, very upward looking, ascendant type of people in a lot of cases, especially in the middle classes. So Ahmed, let's have a quick look here. So London's a good training grounds. London's the good thing about London is we're talking about fear. You can just smash 10 approaches in an afternoon. Piss in London. You do that for 4 weeks and your fear is going to be substantially diminished. So London's a great training ground. Reps alone are huge in this. Just doing the reps, you just become more desensitized to it over time. You do have to be a bit careful with that. Maybe I'll talk about that as well. If you're extremely stressed all the time you go out, what you can do is and you're putting too much emphasis on the approach, you don't have enough other things going on in your life, that can start to become your be-all and end-all, which then actually makes you more stressed. So you've got to be a little bit careful about that. That's something that happened to me around about this time 2 years ago, around Christmas 2 years ago. I was doing so much. I would find that when I was in the DR, I'd find that when an attractive girl walked past me in the street, instead of my pleasure receptors going, I started to get heart palpitations, because I'm like, right, my body's thinking, right, I need to get geared up to go in. And actually, I was like, I'm just going to the supermarket. I don't need to even go in for this one. So I took a few weeks off and I had to actually really break down, wait, what the fuck has just happened? And what had happened is my brain, like literally neurologically, had made an association between an attractive woman and stress, which is completely the wrong thing, because I'd probably been overdoing it. And so, I started to essentially rewire it. Your brain will rewire quite quickly. I did some exercises for that. That was pretty useful. But that can happen. I've seen it happen to a couple of other guys as well, where they cane it so hard. You know, it's like as soon as they finish work, they're out, and then they're out Saturday and Sunday. It's just relentless for like 3 months, and they can start to overcook it, and it's actually counterproductive. But that's quite an unusual thing. Most of the time, if you just go out once, twice a week, you'll just desensitize yourself. And this is what London is so good for, just blasting through approaches. Manchester's great as well. You can easily get 10 done in an afternoon. I think if you went to Manchester, I would predict within 5 approaches you'll be on an instant date with a girl. I'm almost certain of it. Honestly, probably within 3. There's so much volume. There's such a variety of girls. You've got everything. It's such an underrated place for me to approach. So yeah, those cities in the UK are great. And then you get yourself overseas, yeah, of course. And you do often see like another level of beauty. I would say Serbia and Bosnia. Bosnia's underrated, mate. Fuck, Christ. Some of those Bosnian girls were unbelievable. There's like the Turkic ones with the hugest tits I've ever seen on skinny girls, and then there's the old Slavic ones, which are the blondest, most electric blue eyes, whitest skin ever fucking seen. It's like some kind of weird pure fucking race or some shit. I don't know. It's crazy Bosnia. And then Serbia, yeah, they're just such looks maxers, the Serbian girls. They just completely go for it. So yeah, great girls overseas, man. Great girls overseas. Yeah, I would say, I don't know, with the hot girls unless you've had someone give you feedback, Ahmed, you may still be doing things wrong in your approach, mate. This is not like, it's not a referendum on your character, like whether you're obviously doing the right stuff, you're obviously going out and hitting it, but there may still be, because I can stop a 9 in London and Manchester, my friends can as well. It's even friends who are like literally teenagers can do it. So it might just be, yeah, obviously not all of them stop, to be fair, but it's the quality of the girl. This is a big mistake. The quality of the girl has no bearing on how receptive she is to cold approach. None at all. None at all. Usually the hottest girls are the most receptive. That's been my experience. So you can definitely still stop attractive girls. There may be stuff, you may have blind spots, mate, that you're not aware of. If you're able to stop, yeah, if it's a bit hit and miss, you just might have blind spots. That's all. But it's very good. You're doing everything you're doing already. Yeah, I won't. There's some obvious blind spots that people have. I won't go into it now, but it's just worth bearing that in mind. Honestly, England is one of the easiest places to do cold approach, if not the easiest that I've been to. I think maybe London, you can argue, it can be a bit frosty because people are quite busy, especially if you're on a weekday. But I know guys that go out, and there's a 21-year-old in our group who he goes out, he's a beginner, and he goes out, he went out the other day, I think he got 9 number closes in an afternoon. Just going out around London. So we'll get past the barbecue here, boys. Yeah, you don't need to be the finished article to succeed with this at all. You can still get results like on where your approach is just kind of still quite rudimentary, and you can still get great results. You don't have to be the finished article, but it's also worth bearing in mind you might have a blind spot. To be a good example, there was a guy I worked with this summer who he was already doing approach, and he was finding in his own cities he was getting quite negative responses, and he wasn't sure why. And then I worked with him, and on the very first few approaches I could already see what his problem was. It's quite an unusual problem. His problem was he was just way too aggressive. Way too aggressive. Just quite unusual. Yeah, he couldn't see it. It's not surprising he wasn't getting the results, because he was way too aggressive. So we had to calm him down. He actually had a very tough first day, actually, that guy. Yeah, did eventually get some stops in. But if a girl is intimidated, they won't even stop. And then there's other things as well. I've seen guys where they go in and they're still stood at an angle, and they might have already done 200 approaches. And I'll say, mate, what are you doing? Why are you side on to all these girls? You know, it's kind of like you're there, but you're not really there. You know, you want to be fully there. And it can be other things. Are you smiling? Like, you want to have a little bit of a grin, you know, in that approach. Are you making absolutely piercing eye contact as well? That's very, very powerful. Those few there. There's other things as well. But they just might be blind spots you've got. And this actually links to the last point about fear. One of the things that causes fear is just simply not knowing what you're doing. And I think that is also a massive factor. For me, that probably would even be the number one. Like, because intelligent guys, we want to exert control over the outcomes that we're putting our energy into. I mean, all guys do, but if you're intelligent, you'll tend to think and reflect, right, how can I put this in my favor? You know, how can we make this work? And it isn't obvious with approach. It's not always obvious. I think one of the biggest things is just having a lack of a map. For me, with daytime, as soon as I had a map, which I had actually even before I coached. As soon as I had a fundamental basic map, I could actually get started. But before that, it was just like, what the fuck? You know, these guys who just like my friend, you know, the rock musician, he's just a pure vibe guy. Yeah, that ultimately is absolutely incredible. But not everyone can reproduce that. We're not all playing on stage every single night of our lives, like having like women throw themselves at you, and then obviously that builds your confidence and just a sense of arrogance and everything. That's a super rare guy. So most guys, some structure is super helpful. So actually knowing what you're doing, and the lack of knowledge is such a big cause of fear, and that's why we're trying to get some of this knowledge out there. Because you can be the same guy today, and in a month's time after you've got some training and you started to approach, you can be in a totally different fucking world. And then you combine that with travel as well. That is the money shot then. Then you're just living you're almost living as like a 19th, 18th century noble. You know, you're just going around the world, you're just exercising your options. And you want to do that in work, you want to do that in anything, right? You know, when Ronaldo goes to like sign for a new team, he's going for the best team. Yeah, he's not just going for a team. Yeah, and a lot of these guys that I work with, they are kind of like that. They do have the right to select. They really do. They should not be lacking options at all. So those are some of the reasons I mentioned there for fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of being in new surroundings, fear because you don't have a wing, primal fear just because it's you feel like you're being judged, you feel like you're on trial, you feel like you need the woman's approval. All of these things cause fear, and you put them all together, and is it really any wonder that guys don't approach? You know, most of your excuses for not approaching, and I apply this to myself, most of the time they're bullshit. The majority of the time, 95% of the time, and they're just driven out of the emotion of fear. So you feel a baseline emotion of fear, and your mind goes, oh God, she's with her friend. I just can't do it. You know, what if the friend hates me? Or, oh no, they look too young, or she looks like she's got a boyfriend. The majority of the time, all of those things can easily be handled. Let's say the boyfriend one, even if she's with a guy. There was a date I had last year in Manchester. Because some of the guys saw me do it. It was a 3 set, and the girl, getting some shade here in my apartment. The girl was, God, she was super like striking looking. It's a black girl with like a tall, thick, like she had like spandex on, just ass. And she had this like bleached hair, blonde hair. I'd seen it early in the day, and she was with a guy. And then later on in the day, I saw her again, and that guy was also next to a girl, a shorter girl. I thought, I wonder if they're actually together. Maybe he's with her. So I went over to do the approach and asked the guy, like, oh, are you guys together? And they said no. And then actually the friend kind of winged me a little bit. The friend kind of helped me a little bit. So that was a 3 set, including a guy. And it worked out beautifully. Ended up on a date with her. And so I don't sound like some kind of, you know, like fucking superhero here. The reason I went in for that set is because I was out with a group of friends. I was out with a group of friends. I was looking at it, and one of my wings just looked at me. He's like, gone. And that's all it takes. It doesn't take a lot for me. Like just a little nod, and I will fire off like a rocket. But I think if I was solo, you know, truth be told, I don't think I'd have gone in for that set. I don't think I would. So having wings alongside you, it makes the whole process more fun. It gives you a sense of reassurance, like whatever happens, your mate doesn't give a crap. Your mate truly doesn't care, you know, whether you get rejected, whether, you know, whatever happens, or whether you get laid, like whether you got an instant date and you bang her in the park, your mate doesn't care anyway. And having that, it's kind of like unconditional support. It's actually super important. I think if more guys had more of that, they would, this guy's got his car started. I think they'd do a lot better. So let's have a look here. Oh yeah, Bosnia, mate. We'll take a trip to Bosnia. You've not met SB, but he's like, he was the first guy I met from my channel. He came out to see me in Sarajevo. Super fucking cool guy. He might be on actually. He's yeah, internationally minded guy. Also a really good painter as well. We did a little mini session in Bosnia, which was fucking cool. It was really cool. Yeah, I'm into the kinky destinations, I think, but I do think Serbia is, like, overall Serbia is better, especially Serbia in the summer, September. Yeah, if your Serb hasn't locked you down. This is it though, this is it, like, just one weekend of approach, and you've already got, like, I won't give the details, but the type of girl most guys would be like, wait, she's what? She's young, she's attractive, she's peaceful, she's got good values. She admired the fact you came over to approach her, you know. This is, you know, there's so much out there in the world. The thing that I do love Tate, but he does spout some garbage as well at times. There's one thing where he said, oh, there's no more like virtuous women anymore, or do you know what I mean? There's no more girls from the villages who just, you know, because they've all got Instagram and they're all fucking guys in Dubai. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's so untrue. Most normal girls are not looking to be a glorified sex worker, yeah, by going over and sucking some Arabian prince's dick, or like, you know. Of course, there's a bracket. There's always brackets in everything. Everything happens, but your average normal middle-class girl wants to find an attractive guy with prospects or a profession. That's still the case, as it always has been, as it always will be until the end of time, right? And even girls who, you know, they do go out to Dubai and stuff like that and go on the Arab front. I know, like, I've met some of them, and a lot of them, it's like, that's like almost a safety net for them. It's not actually what they still would want is an attractive European guy. So yeah, this idea that there's no good girls around is completely ridiculous. Even in the UK, I've met really good girls in the UK, English girls through and through, and they're just really cool. So not everyone has become a brain dead wannabe influencer at all. That's just not the case. Obviously, it suits his shtick to say that that's the case. Therefore, you need to get rich. Therefore, join my university. Obviously, that's kind of part of the pitch, but in reality, it's not. It just isn't the case. It's not the case. Yeah, quality of eye contact. Yeah. So just the next point here, just I'll come into the last 10-15 minutes here, is how do we actually address this fear? What do we do? How do we address it? Again, I think it's a multi-pronged attack. The first thing is to fully accept this is completely normal. Going over to a woman as a heterosexual guy is completely normal. The fact that no one is doing it is a bit of a shame, but it's completely normal. If you can get around people who do it, that normalizes it for you. But it's completely normal. What's abnormal is swiping on an app like that, hoping your genetic scion is going to pass through to the next generation just because you did that. That's actually very abnormal. It's very abnormal. You know, my granddad, who was about as far from a playboy as you can imagine, he met my grandma on the bus. Yeah, he cold approached her with his mate. I think he talks with his mate, and then he got his mate to ask, my grandma's mate, is Mary single? And Mary was single, and so they started to date. And you know, all these years later, here I am. And that was just the norm, even for a guy who was a quiet, shy, reserved guy. Cold approach was the norm. Throughout all human history, before apps were invented, it was always a norm. So the modernity is the aberration. It is the aberration. It's completely normal. The species depends on it. Yeah. So this is, again, it's how warped society is, right? It's quote unquote normalized for what was it about? It's like 5% of American women under 30 or something. It's like 3 million American women are on OnlyFans, prostituting themselves, like dildoing themselves, right? That's normal. But a guy going over to a heterosexual guy going, oh, you can have these fucking parades, people in all sorts of paraphernalia and stuff going parading through the streets with whatever the fuck they're doing. I don't know. Rainbow flags. That's all normal. Not that I give a shit. But the fact that's considered normal And it's considered abnormal for a heterosexual man to go over and say, hello, you look gorgeous, to a beautiful woman. It's a complete inversion of reality. It's a complete inversion of reality. Yeah, so that's the first one. It's totally normal, right? Everyone else are weird, okay? The DR is a good place because guys do cold approach here. I did it, I like Dominican guys do it in an informal way. I did a session with my 72-year-old Italian mate. Italian guys are great. They don't give a shit. They'll go for it. And so, yeah, so normalizing it. The next one as well is actually getting some kind of group support as well, because it's easier to normalize if you've got a group with you, or if you've at least got one example in real life. It's good if you're watching this channel and you're watching other channels where you can see people do it. You'll be seeing a lot more coming through this channel. As soon as I get these glasses, they've arrived on the island. I'll be collecting them next week, the Ray-Bans. But as soon as you kind of see that in flesh, in person, it does kind of normalize it. And it goes from being, it's weird and your friends will probably laugh at you if you do it, to it's expected. If I see someone and I know my friend likes it, I expect him to go in for it. It's no pressure, but it's like, come on, that's your one, And it's the same vice versa. I personally love the team dynamic. I love it. If you can get around someone in real life, so much the better. So that will be the next one as well. And that's something where you feel that in your DNA, you feel it in your cells. It just feels right to be going out on the hunt with your mates. It just feels right. And then between your approaches, you just go around having a chat. It's like a nice round of golf. Only instead of just hitting a ball into a hole, you potentially could be doing something similar. But you're potentially setting up dates. You might go and meet a wife. I'm sure guys that I will go on sessions with, I'm sure at some point, some of these guys, 5 years down the line, there will be a child that will have spawned out of that first approach. What a cool thing that is. So having wings alongside you is also crucial as well. The last thing I'll say on this, in terms of fear, getting over that primal fear, well, there's a few other things. One of them is just give yourself permission to be total ass. Give yourself permission to go over and do shit approaches. You think I don't do shit approaches? I do. I do less shit approaches than ever before, but I still do shit approaches. There was one in the mall the other day. She was coming out of a shop with her mate, and it was just a complete shit show. Didn't properly stop her, walked alongside her, and then I got this fat Dominican woman staring at me, like scowling at me in the mall, as if I was some kind of sexual pervert. And I was like, I needed that because it puts me in the position that my students are. That's the worst case scenario. 2-set doesn't stop, completely fobs you off, and then someone's beast old hag scowling at me. Like, that's pretty much your worst case scenario. So I need to experience that. So I always remember, this is what students are afraid of. Yeah, I'm still alive. I'm still here. I did more approaches that day. That mall is a horrible mall to approach in as well. And even still, I've still got a date lined up for this weekend from it with 25-year-old local girl, and it's a horrible mall to approach in. Difficult to describe, but feels extremely antiseptic. It almost feels like the girl, as of being there, is on a pedestal. So my remaining mission actually for the rest of this trip is just to keep going every so often to that mall, just to batter chop it down like it's a big tree. And by the end of the trip, it'll be like, nah, the mall belongs to me now. Yeah, it's weird how your surroundings can have this strange effect on you. Until you do an approach, maybe it doesn't affect everyone, but it does. It kind of has an impact on a lot of people. So, where was I on this? Giving yourself permission to be shit, super important. Give yourself permission on the first 3 approaches, just to use them as a warm-up as well. Just to use those approaches purely as a warm-up. Especially when you're still learning, you're still going into close. But fundamentally, there's no pressure. It doesn't matter. You're just warming up, yeah? And you can even do little exercises where you go out intentionally just to give compliments. and you don't even want anything, especially if you're a beginner, that's a very good way to go. If you're a beginner, just go out, stop the girl, give the compliment. You don't need anything back. Yeah, that's your success for the day. Go and give 3 compliments. Next week, go and give 5. Then after that, okay, let's go and get into a conversation. You know, because just doing that alone just teaches your brain, oh, it's okay, they like compliments. They're also heterosexual women. Oh, they like men. Oh, all the brainwashing is actually bullshit, right? So, yeah, take the pressure off yourself, allow yourself to suck. It's funny at the end of the day. The guys who actually get results with this are the guys that have the most shit sets. That's just a fact, yeah? You can't, if you go and doing like 50 approaches in a month, probably a good 20 of those are going to be shit shows, one way or another, and a lot of it's not even in your control. And then you might have 30 good sets, and of those, like, you know, you close 7 or 8 numbers, you get some dates, and you get something going on from that. That's just kind of how it works. So give yourself permission to suck. You're not on test. You're not on a trial, rather. You know, this is not a referendum on your character. You're just going over to talk to a girl. One mentality I have as well at times, which if I can remember it does help me, is just actually realizing there really truly is no such thing as rejection in cold approach. Like, there really isn't. I've tried to drill this, and this is the issue sometimes being around guys, not to be arrogant, who know less than me. Because there's some beginners in my group who come in and they can get quite insistent on their way of looking at things. And basically, but sometimes that, yeah, so I just lost views there, but no, I was just going on a rant about how I'd love to coach Will Smith in daytime approach. He would be my dream client. That'd be awesome. So boys, that's my live on fear today. Hopefully that's been useful. One of the things I like to do, part of the reason I walk around, there is a bit of method to the madness in this, is I don't like channels which are talking about approach and socialization where they're purely sat all the time in their room. I just don't like it. You need to be out in the streets. You know, this is where the magic happens. And so yeah, on my channel at the moment, because I've not had the equipment, it's been limited how many infields I can do. There are some on here that people can see, but you'll be getting a lot more coming through. That is a promise. That is a New Year's promise. The equipment has arrived. It's overdue. It's overdue. I'm looking forward to getting some real footage out so people can really see what it's about. But yeah, that's fear, boys. That's fear. Hopefully that's a useful breakdown. I do have more insights on this as well, even more tools that people can use. I use stuff from NLP. If you are interested in learning about this, or just leveling yourself up, going from a 3-4 out of 10 to a beginner, I'll get him to a 6 out of 10 within 2 days. And then if a guy's like got any type of experience, I get them to an 8 or a 9. Like, there's one guy, he only trained with me for a day in Belgrade. He was already experienced. We got him to like a 9. He almost kissed a girl. In fact, he kind of did kiss a girl in the street. Legendary guy, super low key, but he'd been doing a lot of approach. I'd say he was already a 6 or 7, but we got him up there, absolute 9. And yeah, that was an incredible approach. Fucking hot Serbian girl. So if you want to start the approach journey, or if you're just sick of having your personal life dictated to you by apps, you're sick of feeling fear about talking to women, you feel you're underperforming, drop me a line, we'll have a chat. If there's a program that's right for you, we can talk about that. If not, I'll just give you some exercises to go away with. That's what I do for guys who get on calls and it's not going to be the right thing. I'll just give you some stuff to go away with. But if you do want to make the transformation, it can just change your life, man. It's a before and after. It's before and after. There's a guy who just left our group the other day who, when I met him, before he had done any daytime approach, he was just a nervous little boy, really, still, in the body of a 35-year-old man. He was still a nervous little boy. He got trained, we all met him, and then he got all the tips and everything, and he just got the whole playbook, and then continued to apply himself. And he slowly went from like a little boy to a juvenile to a teenager to now like to a fully grown man, who's just completely, he's doing it in different countries, he's buying places in different countries, and already achieved loads, already got loads of like same day lays and stuff, all sorts of stuff from his approach, just from application. But if he'd not had the right knowledge and the right people around him, he would still be floundering. He'd be in a worse position right now. This is the thing, if you don't get it sorted, life ain't gonna get easier, it's probably gonna get harder, to be honest. It is a fork in the road. Once you start to come across this type of content, at a certain point in time, it does become a fork in the road. Do I carry on probably getting worse and getting older, or do we actually, is now the right time to actually do something? So calendly.com/wingbro. I'm just setting up immersions for next year at the moment. I'm in Dominican Republic right now. Fucking one of the best countries in the world. Unbelievable country, unbelievable women. You'll struggle not to find a wife out here. And then next year I'll be back in Europe. Certainly in the summer, I'll be doing immersions out in Belgrade again. I've decided on that, so I'm gonna be out in Belgrade for 2 months in the summer. Come join, boys. Come join the army. And in the meantime, yeah, get on a call if you want to speak to me. calendly.com/wingbro. Boys, peace and love. I'll catch you in the next one.